and welcome to Good News on Entertainment. I'm your host, Carley Boyette, and I'm so happy you're joining me tonight. A little later, we're going to hear from one of the actors in the reboot of Little House on the Prairie, getting ready to stream on Netflix July 9th. But first tonight, we are celebrating America's big 250th birthday here at CTN in a fun, new, and creative way through art. Pastor Reza Safa is a remarkable man with an amazing testimony. He's also an incredible artist. Pastor Safa is a former radical Muslim from Iran who converted to Christianity in 1980. He's written several best-selling books and founded a TV station that is broadcasting in the Middle East and declaring the gospel. But as I mentioned, he is also an incredible artist. In fact, he's able to use and sell his beautiful artwork to help support his ministry. And that is why CTN is so proud to partner with him. For a limited time, you can purchase this beautiful America 250 commemorative canvas print called Freedom. More details on how you can purchase this painting in a moment. But first, I want you to meet the artist behind this painting and hear his amazing testimony.
CTN is very excited to partner with you and bring this beautiful piece of artwork to life. And hopefully people will get a chance, as we've been talking about, to bring a print of this beautiful piece into their homes. So I guess explain it. Let's start with the painting, because that's what people are seeing first, and kind of where did this inspiration, come from? And then I want to hear more about the artist, but I do feel like we have to talk about the actual piece of artwork first.
With all that is happening in America, all the division, I want to paint a piece where it shows the America being patriotic. No left wing, no right wing, no Democrat, no Republican, but one country. And I thought of the old days. I'm fascinated by the 1930s, 1940s, and the cars. And so I thought, let's go to New York and pick a street there and just fill it with the American flag, 4th of July, just celebration. And let's show that just warmth of people, the hustle and bustle of people out in the streets in New York and driving, shopping, just colorful and lots of flags hanging and showing that patriotic sense. So that was the idea behind this painting.
There is something special, I think, about bringing a piece of artwork like that into your home that reminds us to keep that celebratory spirit, like I said, all year long.
Especially, now that we're celebrating 250 years of a glorious nation. Really, I've been to 80 countries around the world, preaching the gospel to millions of people. I mean, in our services, we've had as many as 100,000+ people. And I have never witnessed a nation so blessed by God. And so I think it's so important to keep that spirit of freedom, that spirit of openness and love and righteousness, and a nation that is run by laws and freedom. People can be whatever they want to be, whatever God has called them to be. And so I want to show that sense of glory, that sense of joy. And of course, the American flag it's beautiful. I think those colors are absolutely gorgeous.
Rewind a bit, though, and I want to hear more about your story, because, again, I'm fascinated that you're both a pastor and an artist. I love this.
Yeah.
And that the two, you can have those two passions and they mix beautifully, like what you've done.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to, I was born and grew up in Iran till I was 17, 18 years of old when I left Iran. But my father was a known poet, and he had a lot of artist friends. And one of his artist friends was a calligrapher. A calligraphy is a huge art in Iran. And so I think I was 8 years old, 9 years old when he put me in one of those classes. And so I started with calligraphy. I mean, I think I was 11 years old, 12 years old. I would go out in the streets. In those days, they didn't have all these fancy signs, neon signs and so on. You would write text or, writings on shops' windows. So I would go with a bag of paint and ask the shop owner if they want something writing on their windows, and they They were fascinated by a kid that can be a calligrapher, because in Iran, I mean, art is, you have to see the art is, you're talking about masters of art. I mean, when it comes to mosaic, to painting, sculpting. And so they were fascinated and let me write. And, I made a lot of money as a 12-year-old kid. And so that developed into painting, sculpting, and a whole bunch of other stuff, and music, of course. And so I've been recently, when we moved out of Oklahoma, I came out here. The Lord allowed me to get involved with, develop more of the painting side, because it's a support for our ministry. And so I opened a gallery in Laguna Beach, which is an area in Southern California, in Orange County, where all the galleries are. And so it's exciting what the Lord is doing through these arts. I'm getting the chance to witness to so many people. And so it's really exciting.
So you have to share your story, if you can, in just a few minutes here, on when God, because again, it's fascinating to me. And I told you before we got started, before we hit record, we see the work that God is doing in Muslims right now, and it's really something to take notice of. And he did this in your heart many years ago. And it's just, I think, a story that's so encouraging, because God is doing it still, right? He's never changing anyway. So we shouldn't
No.
be all that surprised. But I just love how he literally kind of came to you in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I grew up in a radical home. My father was a poet, and as well as a Muslim scholar. And so I started early, like as far back as I can remember. My dad would kick me early morning before the sunrise to wake up to do my morning prayers that I had to do in Arabic, a foreign language to me. I had to learn it by heart. And so I was trained in that way. And so I was strongly pro the regime of Iran, the Khomeini revolution. Came to America in 1978 as a student right after high school. Couldn't handle it here. It was too much as a Muslim, as a radical Muslim. I just, everything was in opposition to my faith. So after the revolution, I went back to get involved, and I think it was 3 months, that all I could handle, being in that environment of just hatred and division. So there was something on the inside of me pulling me to leave the country again. And so I left this time, went to Sweden, and of all places. And in Sweden, I met two Swedish missionaries that told me about the Bible. At that time, the Swedish culture was very closed in. They wouldn't allow the strangers or foreigners to kind of get into their culture. So meeting these people, loving me, inviting me to their homes, feeding me, it was very interesting to me. And little by little, I got to know they invited me to the Bible study groups and gave me a Bible in my native language, Persian. Every Muslim is commanded to read the Quran, the holy book, in Arabic, which, the out of 1.998 billion Muslims, only 400,000 people speak Arabic, and I wasn't one of them. So I had to learn Arabic, go to school, learn Arabic in order to be able to read, so-called the commandment of God, and which most people don't understand it. Anyhow, reading the Bible in Farsi, in Persian, my native tongue, I was very interesting. That fascinated me. And the more I read, the more confused I became. And doubt began in my heart about whether Islam is really a true religion. And that, scared the hoops out of me. And so one night I prayed this prayer. I said, Jesus, I've been told from child, I reasoned with God. The Bible says, let's come together and reason. And I did. That night I said, okay, let's reason together. I grew up in an environment, they told me Islam is the only way. Muhammad is the last of the prophet. Now I read that you are the Son of God, which I don't understand as a Muslim. Now, are you real? Did you die for my sins? Were you raised from the dead? If that is the case, show up in my room. Come into my room. Jesus said in John chapter 4 to that man, he goes, unless you people see signs and wonders, by no other means you will believe. And Muslims, they have to see. That's why so much vision and dreams are given to the Islamic world these days. And so I prayed that night. This is in Sweden. The sun sets about 12 o'clock, 12 p.m. And and it rises about 3:30. So I went to bed, prayed that prayer, went to bed, woke up about 3 o'clock to do my prayer, morning prayer in Arabic. And when I sat on my bed to kind of trying to wake up, I heard the voice of God for the first time in my life. It wasn't audible, but it was as though I was hearing someone telling me something. And the voice called me in perfect Persian accent, like my mom used to call me. And the voice said, Reza, you don't need to pray like this anymore. Your sins are forgiven you. And it wasn't so much what I heard that impacted me, it's what I felt on the inside. I felt like I was just born again. I mean, I experienced the idea of born again. I felt like a little baby. I mean, I felt so light. I felt like somebody put their hand in my gut and yanked out all that junk. I felt like I was floating. And so I didn't get up to do my wash up and pray. I struggled some mornings to wake up, and I put my head back on that pillow and fell asleep like a baby. And I have been ever since. And so that was the beginning of my faith. And of course, when my family found out a year after that, they disowned me. My father said to me, if you were here, I would kill you with my own hands. And so, and I have 8 brothers and sisters. They all disowned me, my mother as well. And they tried to put me actually into a mental hospital through the embassy. They thought I'm mentally crazy. And it was a tough time. First few years came to a point where I want to commit suicide, where I want to take my life, because I was rejected everywhere by everyone, friends, families, and I felt very alone in that nation, in Sweden. But God saw me through, and then He called me into ministry, and I started traveling and holding mass healing crusades, and the rest is history.
Yes. And so do these paintings now, they help with your ministry? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
They
I mean, I
are.
just think
They
that's the
are.
coolest thing.
Yeah, when I was in Oklahoma, I traveled so much, so my art, the music, and the painting, and sculpting was on the side. I just would do it whenever I want to, kind of my therapy. But then when we left Oklahoma, because I lived in Oklahoma for 20 years, I started a church there, English church. And so the whole city in Tulsa knew us because I was on television, on radio, especially after 9/11. My book became bestseller, Inside Islam. And so I was doing a lot of interviews about radical Islam and so on. And so we had a lot of supports. But when we left Oklahoma and came to California, I lost the majority of our support. And so I said to the Lord, I said, Lord, you got to help me. We got a television ministry that eats money. It's a, it's a machine that just, thousands of dollars mean nothing. So you got to help me on this. And the Lord said, what do you got on your hand? I go, well, I can paint. He goes, well, do that. Paul made tent, so you paint that tent. You paint that canvas. He made canvas, you paint it. And so I started, and the Lord, during the COVID, blessed it tremendously. And then last October, the Lord allowed me to open this gallery in Laguna Beach, which has been a blessing. So it is a support of our ministry.
You got me tearing up over here. So have you talked to, going back to your family, have you talked with have any of them converted yet? Or have you seen any
mother
fruit
came to visit me several times, and she accepted the Lord, but she didn't want to get baptized because she was afraid for her life. And my sister, my older sister, who opposed me the most, actually, one day she told me, she said, because she watched me every day on television, on satellite in Iran, she goes, I cannot live without your teachings. And so she and my mother and whoever else has accepted the Lord, I'm not aware of it, but those two, I believe they accepted the Lord. So.
Oh, that's amazing. And I do want to make sure as we get ready to wrap up here too, that I just love that that's part of your story too. That is your mission field through TV of sharing the gospel. That's how you're able, there is the gospel being put out on the airwaves there, correct?
Correct. We started in 2003, part-time broadcast, on a satellite network in Iran and the whole Middle East, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm just
the whole
surprised
Middle
they
East,
would
actually.
allow that.
Well, they don't allow it. It's illegal, but everyone, 75% of population or more, they have satellite dishes. People, because their normal TV, it's all about war and killing and Islam, and people hate it. And then in 2006, we started a full-time network, 24/7, that we're broadcasting to Iran, Afghanistan, Iraq, the entire Middle East. And as a result, tens of thousands have come to the Lord by His grace. And Iran has the fastest growing number of evangelicals in the world, surpasses China, according to Operation World at 19.7%. It is absolutely a miracle. For the first time in the history of the Islam, which is 1,500 years of history of Islamic world, we are seeing an Islamic nation is turning away from Islam and turning to God, turning to the gospel. So it is miraculous. It is really glorious days these days.
Yeah. Well, again, CTN, I know, is just so proud to partner with you, and we're so thankful for the work that you have done.
Thank you.
We know it's probably not the easiest. It's probably not the safest either of what you're doing some of these days. But man, what a blessing to be a part of God's plan on this side of eternity, and to be able to use art, I think, is, again, just the coolest thing. And again, we're just so honored that you would partner with us. And again, people can take a sliver of that and have this beautiful, print of this artwork in their home, and be reminded of the blessings and the favor that God has had on the United States.
Yes.
And what God is continuing to do around the world by supporting you.
Amen. Yeah, I mean, that's for people to know that by them supporting both CTN and Najat, which is reaching out to the Muslim world in the Middle East. So that's something to know. It's an investment in the kingdom of God.
Isn't his story amazing? If you are interested in that beautiful painting, there are 2 print sizes available. The 30 by 20 print is $500, and the 42 by 28 is $1,000. And again, the best part is, not only do you get to keep this beautiful piece of artwork in your home, you are also helping CTN and Pastor Safa's ministry, continuing to spread the gospel around the world. Go to ctnamerica250.com for more info. Again, that's ctnamerica250.com. All right, now to that reboot of Little House on the Prairie I was telling you about. The show is already getting a lot of buzz. It starts streaming on Netflix July 9th. I got to watch the whole first season early, and my family binged all of the episodes in just a few days. The cast is incredible, and while it's not an overly faith-based show, it is very well done and a family-friendly show that you can feel good about watching it together with younger ones in your family, and then having some great conversations afterwards too. I had a chance to talk with actor Jocko Sims, who plays Dr. Tan in the series. You may remember the Little House on the Prairie series is based off of best-selling books and is based on true events that happened to the Ingle family. But before my conversation with the actor, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the show.
Tell me, Mr. Ingalls, what brought you to this land?
A fresh start for my family.
This will be our new forever.
Welcome to Independence, Mr. Ingalls.
There's no post office, no church, no school.
What do you think?
So small.
What we wanted, right? To be at the beginning of something.
Hello.
We're building a house nearby. Maybe we're neighbors.
I'd be careful if I were you.
There's nothing free about this land at all. I can't have strangers walking into my house uninvited. I think they'd say the same thing.
I've seen entire families freeze to death out here. Get taken by a fever, wolves. It is a myth that men can make it out here alone.
We have to go back.
What if I was wrong? What if it isn't better here?
What if? This is where we finally become. Who we were meant to be.
know till we try.
Oh, Jocko Sims, what a pleasure to get some time with you.
Carly, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
This show, I told you before we hit record, I can't wait to tell everybody about this. It's so good.
I love it. I love that you got to see it early and that you watched with family. And I think you would be the first like bunch of people who watched all together, you and your family. And I love the feedback. That's incredible. We're all excited here.
It's just so well done. And to have a show that draws you in so quickly,
Yeah.
that the whole family can watch. I mean, that's a big deal these days.
It is, and I think it's very much needed. You know, we're all on our phones, you know, and I'm the main culprit, me included, you know, all the time. And this is just an opportunity for people to sit around and tune in and binge. Nowadays we binge, right? It's gonna be done in a day and a half, and just have a good time, you know, and enjoy. It's a wonderful show.
Did you grow up watching Little House on the Prairie? Was that part of, I told you before I got started, it was not mine. So I'm one of that's,
Yeah.
you're going to hit both of these audiences where maybe they didn't watch, maybe they did. Everybody's going to love it.
I love that. You know, what's interesting is, yes, you have that fan base who are used to the series, the first series that came out, I think, in the 70s. And it was because I've seen the reruns. When I was growing up, I would see the reruns. I was born shortly thereafter. But it was an amazing show. And the cool thing that fans of the show can know is that this is not trying to replace the old show. This is its own thing. You know, what I didn't know when I watched the old show back in the day was that Little House on the Prairie was a true story, and it was based on books. It's based on her life. It's incredible, and I didn't know that before I got the role. I didn't know that Dr. George Tan was a real person. You know, especially when you have stories of African Americans around that time. We're just a few years outside of slavery, folks, and it's also post Civil War. Dr. George Tan was a real black doctor in the 1800s who fought in the Civil War, took care of people in the Civil War, dealt with all the casualties and the trauma. He moved out west to Independence, became friends with the Ingalls family. He was their neighbor. He was a pioneer, and he saved their lives when they all got malaria. So we didn't get to see this character in the first series. He is in the books that came out many, many, many years ago. So I'm just glad that Netflix and CBS Studios are telling the story of Dr. George Tan because it's really incredible.
Let me tell you, the little girl that plays Laura too, the kid actors, and I mean, phenomenal.
Come on now. Alice. Alice is incredible, and so is Skywalker, who plays Mary. They are the heart and soul of the show. It's told through Laura's eyes, and I don't know how they found this young lady. She is just remarkable. She should be nominated for an Emmy. Yeah.
I love that it's coming out too on America's 250th birthday, and it's an opportunity to look back, right, on kind of the roots and kind of how things have changed so much. Talk a little bit about that and about understanding the history. And the crazy thing is that yes, America 250 years is a long time, but some of these things that I mean, it's really not that long ago generational wise of how we were living. Like, I mean, it's pretty crazy to wrap your head around it.
Yeah, this country is a young experiment, and we're still experimenting. It seems, toying with the country. And I don't know. This show, it's definitely a nice slice of Americana and the history. The way that everybody comes together in the town to build the town of Independence, the different cultures, the Osage, and everybody who moved out west. And then you have people like Dr. George Tan, who moved from Philadelphia because he felt after the war, city life was too small. And you just have this eclectic group of different people who take advantage of the West in one way or another, or compromise, as much the Osage had to do, was find themselves compromising with the government to give up some of their land and make deals. And it was incredible. Shout out to Miguan and Ren and Alyssa, who had to not only learn their lines and practice and rehearse, but also had to learn a different language. So for the role, and it was just incredible to watch and be there and be a part of that.
And it brings so much heart and I think opportunities for families to talk about these things together. You know, the series doesn't shy away some of these really difficult questions that they're having to answer and you know, try to figure out what they believe and what's right.
Yeah.
So, man, I just am so excited. So you can officially announce, though,
Yes,
season 2 is coming.
season 2 is coming. And actually, this is incredible. Netflix announced that there would be a season 2. I don't know, a few months ago,
So
and
how did you
we
guys
hadn't
do
even,
that?
we haven't even hadn't even aired yet, and especially in today's day and age,
I know.
really
What do you
important to
think?
see
What
the
was the?
algorithm, to see who's watching, to see who responds well. But I think it's a testament to, first and foremost, the incredible writing. Shout out to Rebecca Sunshine, who's our showrunner, who's just so lovely and so intelligent. The way she approached this story, she was obsessed with the books, I hear, and so they found the right person to helm the ship, and it starts there. And also the cast and what we were able to bring, I think Netflix really, really dug it, and they felt that it was going to be a hit. So we've already
And
got picked
I'm
up for season
watching it though,
two.
and I know it is.
Yeah,
I have no doubt. I just can't
yeah,
wait till it finally, you know, starts streaming. So, well, congratulations. I'm so happy to hear there's more. I'm happy to report it back to my daughter. That's the first thing I have to do is let her know because she's been asking all the time. But I'll
awesome.
leave you. What do you hope people take away from the series as we close here? I'll leave you with the final word here and your take home as people start to be able to watch this soon.
Yeah, as I said, I hope this is an opportunity. People see it as an opportunity to sit down together as a family, to laugh and to cry, and to be inspired, and to remember what it means to have connection, tangible love
Mm.
there, and support and commitment. What's really big theme for me in this series is the family commitment. You see that Caroline stands by Charles despite all of these things that go wrong along the way. She commits to her man and he commits to his family to taking care of them. So I hope that everybody gathers around, grab your popcorn and milkshakes or whatever you want to eat, and enjoy the show.
Again, the reboot begins streaming on Netflix July 9th. Well, that's all for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions about what you saw tonight or anything on CTN recently, just go to ctnonline.com. Again, I'm Carley Boyette, and I look forward to seeing you next week right here on your Christian Television Network.